Yo, are you maidenless? Is it because you got no runes? Don't worry, I got you. I'm gonna show you one of the best ways to farm runes in Elden Ring. And the best part is, you can do this pretty early on in the game. First off, we're gonna need a bow. If you don't have one, that's okay. You can get one at the round table from the Twin Husks. We're also obviously gonna need some arrows, which you can get from the Santa Claus merchant that you meet at the Church of El at the very beginning of the game. Now we're gonna be doing a quest for one of the NPCs you meet at the very beginning of the game, named Vare. Before we can start the quest though, we will need to have beaten Margit, I don't know how you say his name, and Godric. Now if Margit gives you a hard time, you can go to Patches and buy an item called Margit's Shackle, and it'll essentially pin him down for a few seconds so that you can get a good couple of hits into him and making the fight a little bit easier. You can only use the item twice, and you can only use it before his second phase. As for Godric, the only advice I have for you is get some friends and get good. Once you have defeated those two, you're going to go to the round table and you're going to exhaust all the dialogue options for the finger reader and make sure to touch the two fingers and get your emote. After that, we're going to go back to where we found Vare at the beginning, and we'll notice that he's gone now, but he's left behind a sign asking us to meet him at the Rose Church. Now I would recommend that you avoid going into the church because there's a fairly strong enemy in there, so if you're low level it might be a struggle. You can go into the hallway to at least get the marker for your map if you want it. The closest site of grace to the church is the one called Fallen Ruins of the Lake in the middle of Liurnia Lakes. Once you find that one, you can head directly west and it's the big boulder on your map. Here we will once again find Vare waiting for us outside the church ready to give us our quest. We're going to talk to him and pick the first option in the dialogue menu that pops up. Once you do that and you finish talking to him, he will give you a festering bloody finger. The next part of this quest requires us to use these festering bloody fingers to invade other players. Now, if you're not a fan of PvPing or invading other players, don't worry, we only have to do this 3 times and it doesn't matter if you win or lose. Once that's said and done, we're going to talk to Vare again and he's going to give us another quest step requiring us to get the blood of a finger maiden. Don't worry, we don't have to kill any finger maidens. What we're going to do is we're going to go to a location called the Church of Inhibition. This church is located on top of a cliff northwest of Liurnia Lakes. In order to get to it, we have to go around the left hand side through the bottom and climb up. The closest site of grace to the Church of Inhibition is called Frenzied Flame Village Outskirts. This is fairly close to the church, so you'll want to make sure that you stop by this grace first so that in the event that you die, you don't respawn too far away and have to go around the mountain again. On your way up the mountain as you're nearing the site of grace, you will notice an Eye of Sauron looking thing up in the sky. This will inflict you with madness fairly quickly if you're in line of sight with it. Now while you don't have to take the Eye of Sauron out, I would highly recommend it as it'll make everything much easier. All you have to do is from the side of grace, head north and you'll notice a tower. In the tower, there are a handful of rats including a big rat. If you're lower level, you can easily draw them out and head up the broken wall and then jump over the tower wall and avoid all the rats. Once you do that, you can quickly climb up the tower, and at the top of the tower you'll find a handful of frenzied villagers. Kill them all and the Eye of Sauron will be permanently gone. Now from the site of grace, we're going to go into a frenzied village. You'll want to follow this exact path to avoid the frenzied villagers in there, and also to avoid getting madness from the Eye of Sauron if you chose not to take it out. If you follow this path exactly, you will eventually see the Church of Inhibition at the top of the mountain, and right before the church, you'll see a spirit. Once you're nearing the church, a red NPC phantom will spawn in to try to prevent you from going in. You have 2 options for getting through this. The first one is obvious, kill the Phantom. I will warn you though, the Phantom is fairly strong and he has a lot of moves that inflict madness, making the fight fairly difficult if you're low level. If you're dead set on taking him out and you're struggling against him, you can stop by the spirit NPC we saw on the way up here and summon a friend there to help you through the fight, like I did. If you would prefer not to fight him and just want to get the quest done quickly, you can run past him as he's spawning in and activate the site of grace inside the church. You won't be able to arrest it since the NPC spawned in, but if he kills you, you'll spawn right at that site of grace and you can finish the quest without having to kill him. Once you're nice and safe inside the church, next to the site of grace, you'll notice a dead finger maiden. If you had a friend help you out for the Phantom, you can tell him to kick rocks because he's useless now. Interact with the maiden and you'll receive her robes. After you receive the robes, make sure you interact with the maiden again to bloody the cloth that Vare gave you. This will actually complete our final quest step for him. Now we simply go back to him and talk to him again. He will then proceed to cut our finger off. Don't worry, he doesn't actually cut your character's finger off, but you will receive a bloody finger. This is essentially the same thing as the festering bloody finger, except this one has unlimited uses. Once he does that, make sure you talk to him again and he'll give you the Pure Blood Knight's medal. You can find this medal in the first page of your inventory. When you select it, you'll notice that it has a use option. This will teleport us to Mogwin's Palace. Now we'll be exactly where we want to be for our rune farm. Once you're in Mogwin's Palace, you'll spawn in front of a staircase. You can go up the staircase and get the map and the Site of Grace that you'll see me get here, but you don't have to if you don't want to. You can get that later. Once you do that, we're gonna head the opposite direction of the staircase, and we're gonna follow a path around this river of blood that's gonna lead us up a cliff. You'll want to follow the path exactly as I do here if you're low level, because the albinaric enemies in the forest will spawn giant spirit skeletons that can one-shot you if you're not high enough level. Simply stick to the wall like I did there through the forest. Once you make it through there, it's a pretty simple path through the river of blood, up the hillside, and into the next Site of Grace. Once you're at the Site of Grace, we can finally get started with farming our runes. Equip your bow, equip your arrows, rest at the Site of Grace, and immediately run to this cliffside edge here with the moss at the tip of it. Aim your bow in between these two branches, and as soon as you see the chicken guy cross the branch, take your shot. This will aggro him and he'll sprint towards you and off the cliff, instantly killing him and awarding you with 11,000 runes. A simpler option for shooting at him is to run a little further up the cliffside edge and target locking him, waiting for him to turn around and then firing. This makes it easier to shoot him and aggro him, but in my experience, a lot of the times he doesn't end up running off the cliff like he does in the other spot. Now we can improve on this just a little bit more by equipping a gold scarab and activating a gold pickled foot. This will net us 17,219 runes per chicken kill. If we do the math, it took me 11.5 seconds to run from the Site of Grace to the chicken and back to the Site of Grace. This comes out to about 1,497 runes a second. Multiply that by the seconds in an hour, and we find that we get a total of 5.3 million runes in 1 hour. Now that's a lot of runes per hour if you ask me. That's pretty much as good as it gets, guys, so welcome to one of the best rune farms in the game. Now take note, I did say one of the best rune farms. There is one slightly better rune farm, so if you're interested, make sure you follow the account and like the video. It would mean a lot to me.